Oh, there we go. I was looking in the wrong place. I'm like, are we going yet? And I've been going for like a good 5 seconds. I was just totally looking in the wrong spot for the thing that says, you are live. Yeah, it's that kind of a morning. It's a very Monday-ish Wednesday. Hello, Monique. So how is everybody doing today? I have a big yawn. Oh my goodness. All right. So I failed to I normally double check with my guests the day before a live stream, and I did not yesterday because I'm still like getting into the swing of things after that break here. So I'm not sure what has happened here, but we seem to have lost Dawn. It might be a time zone issue. You know, half the time, 3/4 of the time, it's a time zone issue. It really is. It's so funny in this. I mean, in this industry, probably in every industry where people it's probably in a lot of industries at this point because so many people are working from home, and it's such a small world in such a big world. I think a lot of times we try really hard to make sure that we're all communicating clearly what time zone we're in, but you know, oh yes, we'll do this at this time in this time zone. You know, I always say, you know, that our lives are noon Wednesday, or on Wednesdays at noon Eastern. But you know, I have so many people I talk to in so many different time zones. I try to remember what time zone everybody is in. So I might say, you know, that it's at noon Eastern, which is 9 Pacific time, if I know they're in the Pacific time zone or whatever. But oh my gosh, not enough coffee yet. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I might have, because I forgot to do the check-in I normally do the day before. I think I might have lost Dawn here today. So we do have the new issue of Crochet Foundry, and I can actually, let me see, I'm going to close this email just because maybe I should leave it open just in case. Let me pull up, since we don't seem to have Dawn, we will pull up the new issue of Crochet Foundry. So let me find it over here. I hope you all are doing well. Feel free to make some comments. If you have the fall issue of Crochet Foundry already, let me know what you're loving about it. All right, here we go. Here's my fall file, and I need the PDF. Here we go. And let's see if it will open in the screen. Hey, it opened in the screen. I want it. Oh, I opened the print friendly one, but that's cool though, because I should definitely go over that with you guys. Only I just opened the print friendly one twice. I'm apparently having some serious technical issues in my brain today. Leaping loops. Hey, Rachel. I have clearly not had enough coffee this morning yet, Rachel, because I just keep messing everything up over here. All right, here we go. I hit the button. There we go. Oh, I hate it when it does that. I wish, if anybody knows a way to make that freaking thing just stop ever appearing, that would be awesome. That thing drives me bonkers. That pops out from the left side of the screen. So let's see. I can hide this little thing so you don't have to look at it. All right. So what we have here is the PDF of the fall issue of Crochet Foundry. Let's see, Monique. Oh wait, Sarah is here too. We saw Monique earlier, and then Sarah says hi. Monique agrees. I have a hard time with time zones, and my yawning is contagious. Yes, you know, if you catch yawning, it apparently means you are not a psychopath. I think I've shared this with you before. You know, it's whether or not it's true, I don't know, because I just see it on like I don't know, like the like detective shows or doctor shows or whatever. They say that, you know, if somebody yawns and you don't yawn, that's like one of the possible signs of being a psychopath or whatever. Yeah, so the fact that I yawn when people say yawn, it makes me, you know, feel very content that I'm not a psychopath. That and the fact that I tend to be a decently nice and empathetic person usually. That's also a good sign, right? So anyway, back to the subject at hand, Crochet Foundry. So this is our fall issue. And this pattern on the front is called Maddie, and it is designed by Claire, who is this beautiful woman over here. I just got a little note that says we're having trouble streaming to Instagram. So hopefully over there on Instagram, things are working. I am going to actually then, in that case, I'm going to close my emails just because I know that the reason why it often has it when it does have trouble streaming, it is often because it's trying to do too much. The StreamYard seems to take a lot of bandwidth, whatever. So, all right. So I closed everything but the 2 PDFs I wanted to have with you, and the Crochet Foundry site and the Twice Sheared Sheep site. So, and remember that, let me see real quick. Edit. No, everything is good. Okay. Just making sure it still remembered where we were. Monique says that it's good that yawning means you're not a psychopath, and she's glad that she yawned, and she loves the cover. Yes. So this is Claire up here, and this is Alice, and Claire is wearing the Maddie asymmetrical vest that is super cool, and you can see it's got some cables on it, and you'll see when we get to it. I really love this pattern. I love the design of it. It's so simple to make, and it's very beautiful. I love the giant button she used, and that there's that button up here, and I really appreciate where she chose to put the cables, and that it's not just covered in cables. I mean, things that are covered in cables are really, really cool too, but they can take a really long time, right? So this it's like the perfect amount of cables in just the perfect places. And oh, here we go. We have Dawn. See, I totally knew that it was probably a time zone, something or other. So let me pop back to this screen over here, and we will add Dawn to the stage. Hello, Dawn. Can we hear you?
Hi, I'm so sorry. Hey. Yes, it was a time zone thing. I'm like, wait, she said Eastern time. Oh, crap, that's 8 minutes ago.
see, look, proof that we were saying it. We were just talking about time zones and the fact that I'm yawning. So I was like, I bet it's a time zone thing.
Yes. Hello. I'm so excited to be with you.
All right. Well, guys, then next week we will go through the issue of Crochet Foundry then, because I had totally planned for that for next week anyway, since we have Dawn here this week. So it's so great to see you, Dawn, other than the little jolt you just gave yourself realizing that there was a time zone issue. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, actually. Honestly, today was a quieter day, and so I've been working on some quieter things, and I am fantastic. It's a little bit cloudy, which means it's not too hot. And
awesome. You know what? We're having a technical difficulty over here with Instagram that I got, and since we got it, I haven't seen anybody new add on. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to remove Instagram and add them back on to see if that fixes things, since I just closed a couple of I just closed a couple of windows. So just give me 1 second to do that because I don't want those people to miss out. So here, I just closed that one. And let me real quick go over here, hit add a live, not a post. You know, sometimes I not quite aware yet, and we have to copy the title and toss it in. Sorry guys, we just don't want the Instagram people to miss it. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't working. It just decided to have its little technical difficulties that it likes to do every once in a while. Always at the worst possible moments, right?
Of course.
Copy the stream key, paste the stream key, save the changes, and hit the go live button. And let's see if it actually reconnects us. Come on. All right, it looks like, yay, we have reconnected with Instagram. Awesome sauce. All right, and Sarah says, hello, Dawn.
Hello, Sarah.
And a reminder for everybody, if you are watching through our Facebook page or the YouTube, then your description will have an affiliate link to Twice Sheared Sheep and a coupon code. You use that affiliate link and you use that coupon code, and you can buy anything in the Twice Sheared Sheep store with the exception of the Advent calendar and the Advent box and mystery boxes, and you get 20% off. And I would buy the Advent box anyway because we're going to have a whole lot of fun with it. And it's already hugely discounted, right?
It is. So it's already, we've got a $25 coupon code that if you look at the top of the Advent page, the coupon code is right there. I think it's Advent 25 or something. So you can get $25 off the Advent box.
Nice.
So, and yes, you should get it because it is already like a stellar deal about the amount that we've crammed in there. But we have some really awesome surprises, and I'm super excited about the things. And the storybook, and like I was a fairy tale girl as a child, and like all the classic novels, all the things. And so like as I've been designing things and as I've been making things, I'm like, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this will be my first year doing it. Guys, I don't know. A lot of times you can only do one coupon code at a time. If that's the case, then buy the Advent box with the Advent box coupon code, and then buy everything else with the Jessie at Home coupon code.
Well, and honestly, that might make life easier for our team anyway, because then they would have to like separate the orders anyway, because you don't want to wait till your Advent ships for all the rest of your stuff to ship.
Yeah.
So if you can buy them in 2 separate orders, the Advent is always free shipping anyway, because it's over the free shipping threshold. So
that makes sense. So there you go. Really good, guys. When you buy your Advent box every year, when you buy your Advent box, buy that in an order on its own. And that way it makes the lives of the people over at Twice Sheared Sheep easier, because that one obviously ships differently from everything else, since you kind of pre-order your Advent box and whatever else you've ordered, you're most likely getting shipped out right away. So what's under probably for everyone? Where do we find here we go. Wait. Where do we find the Advent box when it's not just right up at the very top?
Do the little search button, or actually on that screen before you go to the menu, go back, like drag your mouse down. Mm-hmm. And then that banner that is scrolling, if you scroll to the left or whatever.
Yes.
The very first
one of them was the Advent box.
One of them was the Advent, or you can use the search feature at the top and just type in Advent. That one.
There we go. There's the Advent box. But if you don't happen to see that, right? You know what?
I will get that fixed.
I tell people this all the time, and then here I am, like forgetting it myself. If you can't find the little magnifying glass, and then type in something that you think will make it pop up, like Advent. All right, so if you can't find it, type in Advent and ta-da, here we go. Things are slow right now on my computer. It's my computer. It's not their site probably because StreamYard streaming always makes everything slow on my computers. So yeah, I am super excited about this, guys, and I'm getting one this year, and I'm going to do my best every morning to do a little live unboxing of what that morning's thing is. I love that you guys do it so that you open one on the first and two on the second. We used to do like the countdown with my mom made this embroidery thing that had these little loops on them, and we'd hang the mini candy canes, and my brother and I would take turns, and it would count down, which was really fun because we'd know how many days till Christmas. But if you missed a day or whatever, you weren't entirely sure because the numbers didn't line up with the calendar.
Every year I get somebody who asks, they're like, so are we supposed to count down or are we supposed to count forward? And I always say, okay, well, we designed it so that you, and we will be revealing it where you open one on the 1st of December. But if you would prefer to count down and open them the other direction, you are totally welcome to do that. Just know that we will be revealing things in the opposite order.
Right. Because I know Katie had told me that you guys do your reveal at, is it 10 a.m. Central?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, around 10 a.m. Central every day.
That way, everybody has a little bit of time to open something. If you know that you're going to have to wait a little bit, just avoid our socials for the day if you don't want a spoiler. But we want to make sure that if anybody opened it and they're like, what the heck is this? That we can tell them what it is and how to use it and how to play with it and all the things before they get too distracted. We did it one year where we didn't want to spoil anything, so we revealed it the next day. And it got really confusing.
Yeah, I totally understand the thought process behind that, between not wanting to spoil things, but I also understand the how it could get really confusing thing as well. But no, yeah. I love, you always give such great instruction on how to use everything, which is, as Monique says, you create beautiful things. And but they're also so useful, and you always provide wonderful instructions. So in the fall issue of Crochet Foundry, we have an article on 10 notions, tools, supplies that every crocheter should have. And they're all purchasable from Twice Sheared Sheep, and every one of them has a link to a video where you can see how it's used. And I have a lot of them right here. I haven't totally finished unpacking, but here I have one of the little boxes. I don't know that we can actually necessarily see.
Yay! It's a little sheet from H&H. Yay!
Yeah, I have 3 of these little boxes. I haven't totally finished unpacking from vacation, so a few of the things that are in the article I don't have with me right now. But you see how I have 3 of the little boxes, and one of them has multiple sheep and the other 2 only have 1 sheep? That's how I know which one has the divider in it. The one with a bunch of sheep has the divider in it.
I love it.
And so I'm here. I have one of my, oh no, this is not the counter. This is the increase, crochet increase and crochet decrease. And the other one has the melody clip hanging on it probably. Maybe, I probably put I actually had I'm using the wrong melody clip on my current project. I stole the melody clip. Oh no, it does. I was holding it by the melody clip. That's why you couldn't see it. I try so hard not to separate the melody clips. What did I do? Nothing. I was just holding it by it. And then it's not in this one. I have the counter one, but I mean the row counter one, round counter. I love these. These are one of your newer things that they're all sticking together here.
The cast-on markers.
The cast-on markers, and because they're on a melody clip, you can use them. You can use them with crochet, not just knit. And the markers, there's on here, it counts every 50. Counts by 50. So there's 50, 100, 150.
So fun trick is that if you're casting on, if you're doing your foundation chain or whatever, and it's not 500 stitches. You're not doing an Afghan. You're not doing a massive number.
Right.
If you can mentally take off the 0 of that, then they count by 5s.
That's really a good plan too. I love that. So guys, you can just count by fives and, ignore the last zero, pretend there's a decimal mark before the last zero, whatever works in your brain. And then instead of saying 50, 100, 150, it says 5, 10, 15, and so on. That is really a cool idea. And I love it. And as I say in the magazine, in the article, one of the things I love about using these is not only does it help you keep track, but when you then go to join your first round, these hanging off help you fix the twist issue.
Ooh,
because what it does is it provides, if you're picking it up, it helps with gravity, right? But also you can straighten out between the two, between stitch marker 1 and stitch marker 2, get everything nice and straight, and straighten each little section, and it helps keep it laying where it is, and it gives you an area to look at. So like it serves a dual purpose there.
I love that. That's a
great
idea. Yeah.
So, and then I have this cute little guy. Woohoo! I love using these.
Yeah.
I love using these for marking my front and back. So the really big markers with the lobster clasps, like I'm not, I don't know, like for some reason I sometimes, Oh, that's so cute. I sometimes have issues with lobster clasps. I don't know why, but sometimes they thwart me.
The little lever always feels like it should be bigger. Like
yeah. And then the ones that are really big, I'm like, this is really big and it's ugly. So, you just can't win with me. So I love using these for marking the front of my work, especially if I'm doing like a blanket or just anything where it's not always like you look at it and immediately can tell the front and the back. I use a nice big clip like this to mark the front of my work, and then I always know. So we've got some of these clip markers that have a great big R and a great big W for right side and wrong side. Yeah, I've seen those too. I love those as well. And then we have in this little one, I have my work until measure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so just so that it fit nicely, I had it pushed up to the top. I was playing around with it. But I used this on something I was making for the magazine. I can't remember which one at the moment, but I did use this.
How was your experience? Because I know that putting something on your hook is not all crocheters are comfortable with that yet. So how was that experiiencence?
It was fun. Here, let me grab.
I also realized that it depends a lot. Are you a knife grip crocheter or are you a pencil grip crocheter?
I am.
Look, we're twinsies.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I know they don't make the Odyssey anymore, but I tend to use, this is the shape I like. So most of the time I'm using a streamline. I do have some Odysseys. Most of the time I'm using a streamline. But they do, it fits nicely on my hooks. If you're doing something really, using one of the really, really big ones. I mean, this is an N. It doesn't quite fit on the N, but that's when you use, that's when you just use the melody clip or something,
Yeah.
Or you just hold it.
Yeah. That I realized, so I am a knife grip holder. So I hold my hook like this. And that I'm a self-taught crocheter. I actually learned to crochet about a decade before I learned to knit. And so I had never seen anybody hold a hook like this before until I saw some like Annie's videos online, or I saw somebody at my daughter's dance school crocheting a blanket. And I'm like, that's interesting. What are you doing? And so I realized that when you have things on your hook like this and you're a pencil gripper, you almost have to hold it in your hand.
Yeah.
Or flip it over the back of your hand while you're working so that it doesn't get in your way.
Yeah, because you tend to hold it down more at a down angle, whereas a knife holder holds it more at an up angle.
Yeah. So if you're kind of a pencil gripper, it angles down. And if you're more of a knife gripper, it kind of sits up here. So yeah, fun fact for any of the chain row counters or anything, if you flip it over the back of your hand as you're working, it'll keep it out of your way.
Cool. Yeah. See, this is why we love having Dawn, because like, I wouldn't have thought of that issue because I'm a knife holder and I don't need to like think of the products on that line. You know, I try to remember to think about everybody, but I just, you know, you're going to know what issues people come up with much better than I am, because you're the one who they're asking.
Well, and legitimately, like, I think about all of these things and I use things and I'm like, how is this going to behave? Is it going to be in the way? Is it going to be frustrating? Am I going to, you know, end up wanting to, you know, scream at this? And it's one of the reasons why, so I did one of it's sitting over there. It's not in my backdrop. I should have pulled it, but I did one of the Annie's Attic, monthly crochet Afghans. I think I did the mandala one. Have you seen?
Oh, yes. Those are so pretty.
It is so gorgeous. But even though it's an Afghan, it's worked in the round.
Right.
And so I had to, you know, it really made me think about, how am I using my row counter in the round? How am I going to, you know, find that this is useful and not frustrating, because I need to mark my row every round. Because that particular Afghan, like, it changes every round.
Yeah, this is invaluable for that.
Yeah. And so for that one, I did use a melody clip, and I just clipped it as the beginning of my round. And then I would pop it off the melody clip and then pop it back on the next number as I came around.
And I tend to, when I'm using the row or round counter, I do tend to, what I do is I actually attach it to the round marker.
Oh, so yeah.
I'll use the round marker will be what's counting my, you know, 1 through 0. And then the melody clip that's here will be what's holding my tens place.
Yeah.
So I use the melody clip for the tens place. So when it's at 0, then that means it's 1, 2, 3, 4. When the melody clip is at 1, it means it's 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you know. And then whatever my row counter is, which is usually also a melody clip, but I'll just use one that has, I was using one that had a dangle on it. And then Katie sent me the really pretty colors. Oh, that's in the big, that's in my big tin, which is one of the things that must still be packed. So I have that rainbow set, which is perfect, because then I'll use like a bright pink or something that's clearly a different color. And that becomes my round counter, and also holds my ones place. So yeah. And I do prefer to just have it on the round counter, just because it's just what's more comfortable for me is putting it on the round counter. And I love that you have those options.
And my philosophy has always been that everybody's brain is a little bit different. And the point of the tools is to help your brain. And so they'll ask me, how do you use this? And I'm like, well, this is how I use it. This is how my brain likes it. But I've talked to other people who use it this way, or they use it this way, or they use it this way. So whatever makes it easier for your brain is the right way to use it.
All right, Sarah says she loves the tin dividers. She has a blue sparkly one in a Princess Leia box, so it's clearly her lightsaber. Is there like a Princess Leia sheep or something, or does she have a different box?
No. So we didn't do it this year, but we had done it several years in a row, that on May 4th, we released a special Star Wars tin that was only available for a couple of days. So we had one year that was Grogu, so Baby Yoda, and we had one that was Din Djarin, who is Mando, and then we had one that was Princess Leia. And this last year, I was like, "What are we going to do for Star Wars?" And of course, I was at H&H, and
yes,
during that time, and I'm like, "What are we going to do for Star Wars this year?" And we just let Star Wars Day pass because the creative juices, I'm like, I've done all the characters. I don't know what else to do.
I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, Star Wars Day was like the weekend after H&H. And several of us were crashing at a friend's house in Chicago for that night. And so we all wore Star Wars pajamas.
I love that. Sarah says she's got all 3 of those Star Wars tins. I love it.
Yeah. I would not be surprised. She probably does. Okay, Monique says I think the row counter is what we were talking about, and that was on the colorful melody clips. Everybody's loving the colors. Good afternoon. Yeah, everyone's loving the colors. Oh, yep, Sarah has all 3. See?
Yep.
May the 4th, Monique, yes, May the 4th. They said May the 4th be with you.
Yes, so like May the 4th be with you. May the 4th. It's yeah.
And what's really fun is on the occasion when May the 4th also, it happens to be on a Saturday, because the first Saturday in May is also Free Comic Book Day. So if you go to comic book stores all across the country, well, at least in America, I'm not sure about Canada, Monique. And that's when you know somebody is Catholic or was at least raised Catholic. I do the same freaking thing when somebody says May the 4th be with you. I'm like, and also with I wasn't even raised Catholic. I just sometimes would go with my grandmother out of, to be respectful to her, but I still do it. Is that only Catholic, or is that other? I don't even know if it's only Catholic or if it's in other forms of Christianity as well.
I'm not sure. It's not. It wasn't in my tradition growing up, but
okay.
I've been to other churches where you greet the person behind you at the beginning. Yeah, Lutherans. I think I've seen it in Lutheran churches too.
Okay. So it's a few different religions, yes, and also with you, exactly. It's so funny. The things that we end up combining in our brains is the best.
We like patterns. It's all a pattern, right?
Yeah. But hey, it's as long as it's a positive thing, it's all good. So yeah. So I had those in there, and then I have the other one. I think I have the cable markers, obviously cable holder locks. Obviously, I'm using some of them because I have. The other thing that I have packed is my carousel, which has some yarn that I'm doing a little Tunisian thing with. And so 2 of the cable locks are on that because I have it. The Tunisian is only 9 stitches. So I'm not actually using a Tunisian hook. I'm using a completely straight hook like this.
Yeah, because you don't need the full Tunisian. You can. Yeah.
Right. I didn't have it in that size, and it's only 9 stitches, so I don't need it that long. So what I did was I just tossed one of these on the end and turned it into a Tunisian hook. And then since right now it's holding the stitch, I just went ahead and put this so the stitch is hiding in here, and my hook stays attached to my work. Now, if this were, if I were using an ergonomic hook or a hook with a handle, then I would only need to put it on this end because that would keep it.
Yep. Keeps your stitch from sliding.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why there was only 2 in that box, even though they come in 4, because the other 2 are currently being used, because it's same with the stitch counter, with the row counter. I know you see one in my box. I have 2. The other one is currently being used.
Legitimately. So this is my company. I make the things. I have 5 million of them in the office. Inevitably, when I am out and about and with my project bag, and I'm like, crap, I don't have this tool in my bag. And everybody's like, why are you using those? And I'm like, because I don't have any of my own things in my bag.
But you know that I use your stuff because you sat down next to me at one point at H&H, and I was crocheting something, and it had the row cutter hanging on it, and you're like, click. So, yeah.
Seeing my things in the wild is like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, we exist somewhere other than in my own head. This is amazing.
I know. And it's fun when your stuff just pops up in a photo, in a magazine or something. I'm sure there are probably in process photos. Lots of magazines will share process photos, maybe what's going to be in their next issue or whatever, or just process photos that the designer shared while they were making things. And then you'll see, there might be some of your stitch markers or whatever on there, and that's got to be fun too.
That would make me so happy. I don't know that I've seen that in a magazine yet. I see it on Instagram and things like that, and that always makes me happy. Or legitimately when I am out and about and in the wild and I see somebody with one of our row counters hanging off of something and I'm like, or I see somebody using a carousel. I think magazines tend to be a lot more judicious about the things that they're sharing. And is it a partner that they have? Is it something like that? But
yeah. Yeah, I know that, and I need to be better at like when a tool of somebody else's ends up in one of our photos, because we do share sometimes work in progress photos from our designers or what's going to happen next issue in our magazines. I need to be better at making sure that I've actually tagged those people, because if it's not like, if it wasn't a provided product, like if it's a provided product, if the company gave it to the designer, I make sure to tag the company so hey, look, here we go. But when it's not a provided product, I don't always do that. And I probably should, because I mean, you probably enjoy it even more when you didn't, because it was something that somebody did just because they wanted to, not because it was provided,
Well, and I think that's part of what, so I design tools that I want to be part of your everyday crafting, that they're the things that, are just part of what you do. And so when something becomes so ubiquitous in your process or in what you're using, and to where you don't even necessarily think about the fact that it's there, that it becomes invisible as part of what you're doing. Honestly, that makes me feel like I've succeeded, that if you're no longer, so it's like an itchy tag, or whatever. If you're no longer aware of the fact that the tool is silently doing what it's supposed to be doing for you, then I have succeeded. And that makes me so, so happy.
Yeah. No, I remember one time one of my friends sent me an email and she's like, do you get spin? I can't, it's a weaving magazine or knit magazine.
So there's spin-off.
Spin-off magazine. And I'm like, no. She's like, well, you have to at least get this month. I ended up buying a subscription to it because I liked it. But at the beginning, they had done some like, what if you made with your hand-dyed, your own hand-dyed yarns, and somebody was showing off the hand-dyed yarn and what she made with it, and what she made with it was one of my designs. And so I was like, oh my goodness, and it was in rainbow, which is of course my favorite color.
As it should.
So that was so cool. And then I actually found her project on Ravelry, and so I sent her a little like photo request. So now it's actually, when you look for the dragon wing cowl knit pattern, it's one of the featured photos, is the photo that was in Spinoff. So
and the dragon wing cowl is, oh my gosh, so
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It was a very amusing, it was a very ADHD way of getting there. The stream of the train of thought that got me to that one, it's like, if you've ever seen the episode of Pinky and the Brain of the Animaniacs, with the Pinky and the Brain one, where you hear what Pinky is thinking the whole time, and suddenly everything he says makes sense, because like you hear all of the inner thoughts that got him to the really, what you thought was a really random, like how do we get the tutu on the elephant? Seems like such a random thing to say, but if you heard everything he was thinking up until that point, it makes complete and total sense. And it was definitely a Pinky moment that got me to that design. So
I love that. Yes.
But those Pinky moments are basically, I am Pinky. That is like that episode is one of my favorite episodes of Anything Everywhere on TV, because it was like, oh my God, that's me. That's how my brain works. Like, people look at me like I'm nuts when I say things, but if they only knew what was happening in my brain, they'd realize I'm freaking brilliant.
That is probably why I have so many like aside so many sidetrack things where I'm like, and we're talking about this, and I'm like, and this, and this, and this, and this. I promise that all of my backstory gets you to where we were talking about.
Oh, totally. No, it's totally pinky brain, which is so not an insult. People are like, that's insulting if you say you have pinky brain. I'm like, no, it's not. Not when you understand pinky.
Because people only really care about brain, and they're like, you know, the genius who has to deal with all the idiots around you. They don't understand the genius that is pinky.
You know, in the song, they just say one is a genius, the other is insane. They don't say which is which.
They do not. They do not.
I once explained my train of thought and got crickets. Oh, well, if you explained it to Don and I, we would not have given you crickets.
No.
So, I love that you have your little knitter thing back there, because I brought this with me on vacation. I dropped the end of it. It was a small ball. It was one of those, like, it was only like this big, one of the minis from Universal. This is a Universal Uptown DK. It was on the floor. I need to vacuum. One of those mini Uptown DKs that are awesome if you're doing like lots of colors. And I had just started it. This is all that's left. I just started it when I went on vacation. And my daughter at our little camping thing that we do for 2 weeks, she always does, she works with the little Comedia troupe there. And every time we went to see a Comedia show that she was doing, I would bring this and I'd be sitting in the audience doing my little, now I'm not going to be able to do it. Like I had a whole little system. Oh, that's because I didn't let it drop down. Like I would be doing my little thing, which is so easy to do when you get into a rhythm, unless you're trying to do it live.
Unless you're trying to talk and do something at the same time.
Yeah, there we go. So I'd be sitting there watching the show in my little rhythm and, you know, just having a grand old time. And then I'm almost finished just from a couple Comedia shows, you know, that aren't very long. And it's just like so
what is your plan for your I-cord? Because
I have absolutely no idea. I sometimes give I-cords in the little goodie bags that we give to other kingdoms in our medieval stuff that we do, because it's used for like tie strings and stuff. So every year when we go to this camping event, our kingdom puts together goodie bags to give to other kingdoms, and I usually put something in there. A lot of times it'll be a bunch of I-cord. So sometimes the Tunisian thing I was making is a Tunisian soap bag, and so I get the Dove soap because I find it's what most people are cool with. You know, it seems to be like the nicest to your skin and everything. The bar soaps. And then I make a little Tunisian knit stitch, because some people say that crochet didn't exist, and I say they're full of it. So I have seen crocheted sandals made out of papyrus cord from ancient Egypt. So therefore, crochet existed in the Middle Ages. But anyway. Everybody's heard this story so many times. Me and my papyrus sandals.
Well, so, the reality is there have been so many ways to turn string into cloth or cord, or you know, there's nail binding, and there's all sorts of ways. And so how you happen to pull one loop through another loop is
right. Which is, I mean, I'm like, I looked at those sandals in the museum and I'm like, this is a single crochet. How they made the single crochet may or may not have been with a crochet hook, but this is a single crochet. And this, I seriously doubt that they, you know, that the archaeologists are wrong, that it came from ancient Egypt while it's sitting here in the Papyrus Museum. You know, something tells me they're right, and that's a single crochet. But yeah, so I do the Tunisian knit stitch because you only see that side, because it's then I make it into a little bag for the soap. I put the soap in, seal it shut, and I make it with like wool yarn, so that as you're washing with it, one, it's scrubby, and two, it felts as the soap gets smaller. And then I stick the whole thing back in the box so people know what's in it in case they have any allergies or scent issues or whatever. and I put those in the gift bags too. And sometimes I'll use this for the little, I like to make a little hanging string so you can hang it up to not get anything wet. So yeah, I use them for lots of things, and I do keep saying I'm going to do like what you have back there, like, you know, because I have some really good craft wire that, you know, shapes really nicely and everything. I have the correct craft wire and everything for it. I haven't yet. I'm almost done with this one, so we'll see what it becomes. I'm not really sure. It's just something to keep my hands busy while I'm watching the shows or whatever.
Well, and legitimately, I always have something that I'm fiddling with. And so I've got a cable lock down here under the camera that I'm just like pushing the button. Or I'll sit there sometimes. So I'll have my cord quilt and I'll be just like flipping the little levers and unflipping them as I'm talking. I'll just flip and unflip. Apparently this is stimming and I didn't know that I did that. It's just... you know, with my hands while I am doing things. So the cord quill, fun fact, friends, is let me look at my calendar to verify that I am giving correct information. That we started at the beginning of the year. We had we decided that we are going to try and make as many things in-house as we possibly can. And we bought the equipment so that we can start making these cord quills ourselves. And we're still kind of in the process between our original manufacturer and what we're making now, but they will be back on the shelves next Tuesday.
Cool. I remember Katie saying that right around the time we were having the live, they would be back in.
Yeah. So we've got them in-house. We're testing everything to make sure that they're smooth because, you know, every single one of these we have run cord through. So we've tested every single one to make sure that they behave the way that they should and that everything is smooth and pretty. And so yes, those should be in the shop next Tuesday. I think that we have 500 of them. So hopefully they won't sell out right away. But who knows? Oh, the carousel. Yes. The carousel.
Speaking of selling out right away, make sure you get your Advent calendar, man. Because I saw the numbers are going down there.
We doubled the number of Advent boxes that we have this year, but we are like 75% sold out at this point. So if you want an Advent calendar, you know, certainly get in there so that you can get that $25 off coupon code and, you know, grab an Advent box.
Yeah. Now, let's see.
I did put it in the menu. Let's see if it showed up in the menu.
Up Up here, you mean?
Yeah. So for the Advent box, or what are we looking for?
The Advent box. Oh, you mean like when we actually go there, it might pop up?
Well, yeah. So in the shop where you were looking in the new things, you were like, where is it? While we were talking, I put it in that menu because I'm like, it should be there. So look, it's now the second one down on the left under popular Advent box.
Oh, yep, there it is. I think I looked into a light. I've got a spot on my vision.
Oh, no.
And here we go. It's right here. Use code Advent25. So guys, when you buy this, go ahead and use the affiliate link that is in the description of the video.
Yes, please
and
use
then
the affiliate link. She needs her commission.
Please.
My
daughter's going to SCAD.
You love
my
Jessie.
Daughter's college is what?
I'm like, you love Jessie. Please support her. Please
yes, my daughter's college is $60,000 a year. You pay the same price whether you use my affiliate link or not.
Yes.
And if you forget to use the affiliate link, you can send them an email and say, I just did this and I forgot to use my affiliate link. And Katie will fix it because she's awesome, but it's a lot easier for her if you remember to use the affiliate link.
Yes.
But so yeah, right here it says to use the code Advent25 to get $25 off through September 2nd, which is coming up soon. So do one order where you use that and you get just the Advent box, and that way they don't have to separate out the shipping, and then do the other order using the coupon code in the description of this video, which is Jessie at Home 20, and that'll give you 20% off everything other than the advent box and the mystery boxes. Because like Dawn and I said already, the advent box and the mystery boxes are already discounted. And then now you can also get another $25 off the advent box, which is pretty awesome. So yeah.
Okay. I am curious, Jessie. So
Yeah.
you said you were a fairy tale girl, you were a story girl back in the day. Which is the story that you are hoping that is going to be in this box?
You know, I do, and this one looks, well, I guess it could be like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or whatever. Oh, that's Little Red with the red cape. I was always, my favorite Disney movie when I was little was Sleeping Beauty. I think I liked her, I think, more than anything. It's almost never got anything to do with the prince or, you know, kissing a sleeping woman without her consent. But
no, I always liked Sleeping Beauty too. And maybe it's because there was a spinning wheel in it. Maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah, I always
Which is funny because I mean, at that age, that was not like I majored in costume design for my undergrad. My first profession was a professional costume designer, costume shop manager. I ran the costume department for Adelphi University for several years. You know, this was a hobby. I learned how to crochet from my great grandmother when I was like 8 or 9. And then my mother taught me how to knit when I was like 14, and I didn't really pick it up until I was like 26 or so. But this didn't become a career until after I had kids, and suddenly I didn't have a sewing room anymore because it was now my nursery, and I was losing who I was in being a stay-at-home mom. We had twins, and yeah, see, it's the twin mom thing. We had twins, and it cost less from it was literally, it would have cost more to put them into daycare and for me to go to work. And I wasn't even, I mean, at that point in time, I was making $15 an hour. And this was like 18 years ago. $15 an hour was like twice minimum wage. And it would have still cost more for me to work than for me not to work. Yeah. So, you know, I became a stay-at-home mom, and I was losing who I was. I lived with anxiety and depression, and it was getting bad. And it was because I wasn't creating. And so, you know, I had started the blog to share stories about the kids, the twins, with everybody, because I was tired of having to send 50 of the same emails. And I was like, okay, you know what? Other people are using their blog for doing creative things. So let me try getting some of that back into my life. I can do crochet and knit without having a separate room for it. I don't need a sewing room for crochet and knit. There's a bookshelf, you know, I literally just put a bookshelf in my bedroom that became my yarn shelf. It was like the bookshelf was my crafty shelf, and we put it where the bassinets had been once the babies were in their nursery. And it just became, you know, my little thing there that it brought sanity back into my life, you know?
Yeah. Legitimately, that is like the same story that I went through.
Yeah.
So I didn't have twins at first. I have 5 kids. My twins are my youngest 2. Wow. That when my oldest was a baby, that I had taken a voluntary layoff from the call center that I was working at. And it did not make any sense for me to, you know, go back to work because daycare is expensive.
Yeah, if you don't have free daycare where you live, it's insane.
But I've always been a high achieving sort of person. And so I'm like, what do I do with my life now? And I thought, oh, I'll take up quilting. But quilting with a toddler around is a problem. Because you've got pins and you've got little scraps of fabric, and you have to sit at the machine, and you can't stop and start in the same way that you can. And so that's why I took up knitting again, or took up yarn craft, is because it was something that I could do with my hands and keep, as I am fidgeting here, it's something that I could do with my hands throughout the day and feel like I was accomplishing something. But then I could put it down at a second's notice and know that everything was going to be okay. I made, I think one of the first things that I ever made for my new baby son is I made this crocheted hat. I didn't have a pattern. I just kind of started at the top and kept increasing it. It was kind of, or whatever. And then I made little ears that I sewed on. And so he had his puppy hat or whatever when he was a baby and he was a toddler. But I also this was before the day of Facebook. I'm old enough that it was before Facebook, and I'm like, I feel really isolated. I started a blog too. You could probably still find it somewhere on the internet that I abandoned it once upon a time. It's called My Virtual Sanity. And there are pictures of my babies when they were little. I think there's a recipe of my bread recipe on there.
Nice.
And there's a tutorial on how to unravel thrift store sweaters for yarn, because that's how I started my business. Was I'm like, I needed good yarn, but couldn't afford it. And so I learned how to scavenge yarn from thrift store sweaters so that I could knit with wool yarn. And then I realized that there were people who would buy that. And so I'm like, cool. So I started selling recycled yarn on eBay. But so it's so funny that that our stay-at-home mom journeys.
I know. The more we talk, the more we realize we are so similar. I wish we lived closer. It would be so fun.
We'd have so much fun.
So we are getting close to 1 o'clock here. I want to go through a few more of these and say a few things here. Okay, so we have Sleeping Beauty was favorite classic Disney Aladdin.
I will say we are staying very far away from Disney.
Yes,
because the mouse will get you. And all of the stories that we are doing are in the public domain.
Yes.
Because I want to make sure that so Katie, who works with me, is much younger than me, and she also grew up with Disney, didn't necessarily grow up with the Brothers Grimm or some of the older stories, and didn't hear any of the nursery rhymes when she was growing up.
I grew up with the Brothers Grimm and Mother's Goose and Mother Goose and all of that. Like the Mother Goose book with the black and white check outline on it that everybody had as a kid.
I don't know. I had, So I had this great idea that if I stick to stories that are in the public domain, that means that when we send out this Advent box, we can send out a story list of all of the stories.
Oh yeah, and people can
go and you can read them.
Nice, yeah.
They all exist somewhere. So if there's a story that you maybe didn't grow up with, or that you didn't know, that you can still go read it.
Yeah.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Once Upon a Time. I love Once Upon a Time because
the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show.
Oh my gosh, me too. Like that was just awesome. I loved it because it was all of those stories, right? And those are most of the Disney stories are public domain stories. The way they do them, the images they use, some of the specific names they use might be trademarked or licensed or copywritten, depending on what it is. But most of the stories at large are public domain stories. A lot of them come from Brothers Grimm or Hans Christian Andersen. They changed a lot of them to make them. Originally, they were fairy tales were cautionary tales.
They were pretty gruesome.
If you've ever read the original Little Mermaid, it is not the same ending.
On the sea, and he does not choose her. And
no. I mean,
I just mentioned Vasilisa the Beautiful, or Vasilisa from Russian fairy tales. So, fun fact: I had a double major for my bachelor in college. I studied international affairs and Russian. So I had a Russian major. I have read many stories about Vasilisa. I love that.
Nice. So the colors in the picture, are they the theme color of the Advent, or was that just an awesome picture?
Yes. So I think that we're the photo in the inspiration photo is maybe a little bit darker than what I ended up going. So so I will tell you, yes, there is something Little Red Riding Hood in there, because she is in
She's
in
the
that
picture,
inspiration photo, and
yeah,
I
you
love
kind of have to, since she's in that photo.
Yes, you kind of have to, because she's in the photo.
Yeah.
But
and one of the things I learned newly when I was talking with Katie, guys, if you're coming to the Sit and Stitch, obviously it's just going to be a few minutes late. They're not always at one, like once the first Wednesday, second Wednesday, third Wednesday, fourth Wednesday, each have a different time that our live Zoom Sit and Stitches happen. And this one happens to be, I think, the third Wednesday, which is from 1 to 3, but that one always starts late anyway. I learned from Katie, and then I put it in the issue when we were talking about these different, and guys, all of the links to all of these individual products are that we are, any of them that are in the top 10 items, those 10 items I have in the magazine in the fall issue, the links directly to the items are in the issue too. Of course, as well as the links to the videos. And the links in the issue, in the magazine, are the affiliate links. You actually painted most of the stickers. You painted the images on most of the stickers.
I will say that a lot of the older ones, I absolutely did paint all of the older ones. A lot of the newer ones, either some of the designs I will use, I'll pay an artist on Etsy, and we'll, or some of them, I will admit, I'm a fan of Midjourney and AI art, because it is a good way for me to get inspiration for things that I like. If I have a vague idea of what I want it to be, that when you're creating art yourself and you're drawing it, you have to know exactly what you're going to put down on the page.
Right.
Particularly because I work in watercolor, and there's you can't or things like that. And so I find that AI art can be really useful if you're like, I want to do something like this, and it will spit out a whole bunch of ideas that are something like that. And you're like, no, not like that. No, not like that. Right. Ooh, I like that composition, but I wish this was over here, or I wish this was over here. And so then it gives you a launch point of where you can start from.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. No, and I found that AI is a great way to do a launch point. Sometimes when I'm writing a post for my blog about something, if I have way too many ideas in my head as to what I want to write on that subject, or not enough ideas in my head about what I want to write on that subject, I'll have AI, I'll be like, give me an outline for an article about XYZ. And what'll happen is eventually it'll give me an outline, and I might tweak it a bit, and like you were saying, but then in the end, what I come up with is an outline that will give me the launching point for the article I want to write. So it helps me, because it goes through with like SEO and everything, that it will give me the subjects that people are most interested in hearing about, because it's scanning the internet. So I'm like, okay, well, I have all of this knowledge on this subject. I'm not sure which things people want to learn the most about. So I'll go to AI to find out what people want to learn the most about. And then that's it's still me, but
that is so smart. Yeah. And it helps alleviate the blank screen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. I have
so many of us creatives that staring at the cursor on the screen, just blinking at you, or the blank piece of paper of where do you go from here. It helps with that.
Block. So my husband is a teacher, and he sees all the horrible ways of using AI where the kids are like, completely AI papers. And so sometimes I'll be like, oh, this is what I used. This is what I did this thing with AI today. And I used it to decide what subject to talk about. And within that subject, what points to hit. And then I use my own words, my own knowledge to write the actual post. But I used it to come up with these ideas. And he'll be like, cool. And so then the next day he'll tell his kids, hey, here's a way you can use it. If you're not sure, if you're writing an essay about this thing and you're like, what should I write about? Then try using this technique. So I will sometimes give him ideas to tell his students, here is a good way to use AI that's not plagiarism, that's not letting the computer write your project for you. It's taking care of that blank screen issue.
Well, and I like to think about AI, particularly like ChatGPT, as being a fancy calculator for words.
Exactly.
That it is a tool. And if you use it like you would use a calculator in math as a tool to help you do what you're already doing, then it's fantastic. But you can't have the calculator just, do all your math.
Answers and not understand how to do it yourself.
Yeah. That it's only as good as the input that you give it. And so,
So, and then the one last thing I keep meaning to say, and I haven't, was one of the things I loved when I was chatting with Katie about doing the article in the issue, is how she was saying that, like, you send her everything when you're creating a project and testing a project, and like with the yarn to go carousel.
We went through 7 prototypes before we.
And that's one of the things she was saying. And wrong thing here. Where's my mouse? She was saying how
cute skirt though.
Oh, thank you. That's in the current issue of Crochet Foundry. And that's actually one of my designs. With the yarn to go carousel, she was like, she's like, my favorite thing is the feet. So she was telling me how she would be working with it. She'd put it on the table and she'd start to use it and it would just slide off the table. And so she told you, and it got the little feet. And I love that when I got it with the little feet, there were actually extra little feet in case the feet ever come off. Because they're just like the little like silicone little sticker on feet. I haven't had a problem with it coming off, and I took it camping, which means, if it can live through that, it can live through anything. But I have the extra feet just in case.
Just in case. Well, it was one of those things that I realized that as we were designing that I made the spindle quite tall originally, because every one that I've ever seen of the yarn spinny butler things, that the spindle is quite tall. And that I realized that when you set that on the table, particularly if you're sitting in a comfy chair and you've got like a side table, it's actually below your hand level. So you're pulling upward slightly instead of straight sideways. And so when you're pulling upward, the yarn would wrap around the spindle and it would get stuck. And so then you'd yank on it trying to get it to spin. And instead of getting it
across the room,
it would pull it across the room. And so we solved that problem by the spindle is really short. So it's just tall enough to barely peek over the top of your yarn, and it's kind of curved at the top, so that if it is sitting below you, it'll just pull across the top, even if it won't spin. And then we put the feet on it so that if you do have to give it a little tug to get it going, for whatever reason, you're at a slight angle or whatever, that it's not going to yank off the table. So,
another thing I love about it is you do have the optional handle. And so when you're using it hanging off your wrist or whatever, you don't have the bottom spinny part on it. When you want to use the bottom spinny part, these are little magnets that just pops on there. So, you kind of can choose which way to use it. It kind of feels more secure when it's put together like that. And the really funny thing I did when we were camping was my husband had bought us some new camping seats, and we had one that had the little little thing that flops over the top, right? I took the handle and I like put the handle hanging off the little flippy thing and then hung it from there the way you're supposed to hang it from your wrist. And I'm sitting there in my little camp chair with my little yarn carousel hanging over here, crocheting, and everybody who walks by is like, that is so cool. I'm like, toy sheared sheep.
I did. We have a Class C RV, and last summer we did a 10-day trip with our teenage twins, which was an interesting endeavor, because teenage boys are not known for being excited about anything. But I got to be the passenger princess sitting in the side, and I used the kind of grab bar that's right up there, and I hooked my wrist strap there, and so it was just spinning right there next to me, next to my head while we were driving down the road. And then, of course, when we got to wherever we were going, that I could sit at the table and put it on its carousel base. And I love the versatility of the carousel. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I call that the O handle.
Yeah, yes, Monique, we're still shipping to Canada.
Oh, yay. All right. We should really, it's 1:10.
We could talk all day, Jessie. You have other people and other things that you need to take care of.
I know. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, it has been awesome to see you. Glad that you do still ship to Canada. That is awesome. We love Canada.
Yes. We do love Canada. Yes.
We love Canada. Let me tell you, when that vacation I was on, that's normally 12,000 people, was down to like 8. And a good part of the reason why it was only 8 instead of 12 is because a lot of the international people did not come because of the border issues and everything. So, thank you. Yes. Thank you for hanging out with us. We love having you here anytime. Guys, get the current issue of Crochet Foundry. Right now, when you buy it, you can get the whole subscription starting on Friday, 2 days from now. You will be able to buy the issue by itself. I still think you should buy the entire subscription, which is a whole year, 4 issues, and you get a little bit of a discount for buying the 4 issues at once. But either way, if that 4 issues all in one chunk is not within your budget, starting this Friday, you'll also be able to buy just the individual issue. We put the subscription out a week before the individual issue. There's an awesome article in there with 10 of my favorite twice sheared sheep products that you really should not live without. Every crocheter should have. The links and the coupon code are in there. All right, so get your stuff. Don't forget to get your Advent box. All right, use the coupon code that's in the Advent box listing for that one. And make sure you get that because we're going to have fun with that when it comes out. Okay? Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank you so much, Jess. And I'm sorry that I was a little bit late.
Time zone. We totally called it. Right, guys? We totally called it. I was like, it's a time zone thing. And sure enough, it was a time zone thing. So yeah, so next week we'll go over the issue, which is what I had planned for next week anyway. So we'll go over all of the different designs and stuff in the issue as well. Or actually, no, I think next week we have Will. 2 weeks we'll go over the issue. Next week we have the guy, Will, who is the artist who we are featuring in the issue. So
ooh, that's exciting. Okay.
He's awesome. You probably saw him at H&H.
Probably. But now I have to tune in and watch your conversation with him.
Yes, totally. All right. We'll see you around. Thank you. Bye, everybody.